This is the original Half-Life running natively on a Nokia phone. And believe it or not, it all started with this, a big box copy of Half-Life Platinum Edition from over 20 years ago. Today, I'm going to install this original copy, port it over to one of Nokia's most iconic phones, and use every accessory I can find to make it feel as close as possible to the original PC experience. The question is, how far can I go? Let's start with the unboxing. The first thing that surprised me was the size. For some reason, I expected the box to be much bigger, but it's actually only about the size of my hand. It also has this classic flap design that PC game boxes loved back then. Open it up and inside you will find 5 discs, a manual, and a separate sheet of paper filled with installation instructions. Honestly, this is way more physical content than most modern games. The only thing I'm slightly worried about is whether these discs are still gonna work after all these years. Before installation, I took a quick look through the manual, and there's some really interesting stuff in here. Like, the story of Half-Life actually started with a letter of employment for Gordon Freeman. Apparently, Gordon used to work in a union in Austria, and he was also single with no children. I kinda wonder who's the little baby in the photo from his locker. Another section covers the OG Counter-Strike, and to my surprise, it used to have an escape mode, which reminds me of today's hide-and-seek and prison break maps. The terrorists had to escape a fortified position, break into the armory to grab weapons, and fight their way out. The manual is also packed with old web links for these OG Counter-Strike resources. Most, if not all of them, are gone by today, I suppose. A reminder of how different the Counter-Strike community used to be. Time to check the discs. I've got a Windows XP laptop ready to go. This one goes in and the installer kicks off perfectly. I wouldn't call the installation process complicated, but definitely not as straightforward as a digital download for modern games. And I actually had to follow an entire sheet of instructions to make it work. But the installation was part of the excitement when we were trying out new games back then. Eventually, everything went through without hiccups. Let's fire them up. All of the games launched just fine, and I played through the opening sections of each game just to make sure. And honestly, they run incredibly well, even on this old laptop without a discrete graphics. For Half-Life, I made a save right after the monorail sequence, which we'll be using later. Now for the real challenge, running Half-Life on one of the most iconic phones from Nokia, the N95. The phone was released way back in 2007. It has an ARM processor running at 330 MHz and a meager 64 MB of RAM, which barely hits the recommended specs of the game. To do this, we need Xash3D for Symbian. This version was created by Dante Leoncini and allows the original game data to run on Symbian devices. First, I downloaded the engine from his website, along with the required pips 1.7 dependencies, installed them on the Nokia, and copied the entire Half-Life game files into the Xash folder. It took some time to install everything on this 20-year-old phone, but they all went through without error. Navigate through the menus and launch the game. The game kinda stuck on me with a bunch of errors, but they were too tiny to actually make out what it says. I tried again through the task manager, and this time I finally saw the game manual. The settings and everything seemed to be working, but the drama started as soon as I tried to start a new game. It crashed. Dante's port is supposed to work best on an N95, but now it crashed on me. This has to be my mistake. I launched the game multiple times, restarted the phone, redid the whole dependency things, and carefully copied over the game file once again. Sadly, the reality became kinda bleak for me. The N95 was meant to be the start of this experiment, but I can only so far reach the menu without playing for a single moment. This was so frustrating, but not all hope was lost at this stage, cause I'm going to try this again with another Nokia phone. This is the E7. It's newer, more powerful, and has something that looks perfect for Half-Life: a full physical keyboard. If any Nokia can get close to a tiny PC, surely this is the one. The installation process was basically the same, except that you only need to install Xash3D and copy the game file. All the dependencies were already included with this newer version of Symbian OS. This time, the game finally launched properly.
Good morning and welcome to
The good old monorail and everything. I quickly loaded my save game from the Windows PC, but here came a new problem. The controls were kinda messy. The touchscreen didn't work, and trying to play with the built-in keyboard feels extremely cramped and awkward. What's even worse was that most of the key mappings makes no sense. Like 6 for looking up and 9 for looking down. Guess it's time for some peripherals. I immediately thought of Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. Again, Dante provided an HID support pack specifically for this task. Yet somehow the app fails to even spot any of my Bluetooth devices. It could be the Bluetooth chip on the E7 was just way too old for these modern hardwares. But honestly, Bluetooth isn't the only option for this phone. The micro USB port on this Nokia actually works as an USB OTG, which means I can easily connect any device to it and use the phone as a host. So after a $5 purchase for a USB hub, I added my mouse and keyboard into the setup. But it looks like the E7 was very picky about the hub. So once again, another $5 spent for a regular 101 dongle. The good news was, this time the dongle finally worked. But I was left with only one USB for either a keyboard or a mouse. Then I remembered one specific wonderful piece of hardware in my collection. A Dell keyboard with a built-in trackball. Another adapter in, a single USB port. This time everything finally worked. It appears the Symbian Bell system handled the trackball extremely well, and I can pretty much control everything with it. A very promising sign indeed. But just as I expected the game to run any better, the illusion broke. USB mouse control didn't work at all for this Half-Life port. I was only better off with controlling our Gordon Freeman with a more spacious and tactile external keyboard, nothing more. The keybinds were fixed to the original ridiculous mapping, and the only good thing though was that I can finally play with both hands without them fighting each other for keys. So much I can do about the controls, I guess. So now there was only one problem left to deal with. This tiny little screen. Nokia E7 has a built-in HDMI port right next to the USB, so naturally I hook it up to my monitor and it's finally complete. The original Half-Life on a large display, running on a 15-year-old Nokia phone with me playing on a comfy keyboard. Even without the mouse, it made me feel much closer to playing on an actual PC. The game is still kinda laggy here and there, and the controls are not even close to perfection, but getting it to work in the first place already is a huge achievement. Valve could never have possibly imagined a setup like this when they were building the game, and thanks to Nokia, the E7 was built with many technologies ahead of its time, so things can still hold up surprisingly well even after a decade. To be honest, despite the hiccups here and there, this experiment easily brought a smile on my face. It's always fun making forgotten hardware do things it was never supposed to do. And thanks again for the work of Dante Leoncini. Most of this video wouldn't be possible without it. So definitely remember to check out his channel and website for his amazing creations. That's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.